The moon in Taurus. And this is coming from a book by Alan Leo. It's an older book, so you will see some of that in the writing. The moon in Taurus. Moon in Taurus is ruled by Venus. And I know a little bit about moon in Taurus. My father has a moon in Taurus, and my sister had moon in Taurus. And I just had an interaction with a moon in Taurus. And it says here the personality is quiet and unimpulsive, persistent, determined, and not to be thwarted in his aims. So even though Taurus is ruled by Venus, it also says here hopeful, somewhat hopeful, ambitious, and desirous of excelling. Yeah, even though the Taurus is ruled by Venus, you would think it wouldn't be wouldn't have some of these qualities: persistence, determined. But Taurus is a fixed sign, and this is the stronger side to Venus, if you want to put it that way. You can see the personality is quiet, unimpulsive, takes things slowly. But of course, to get things done, that's what you need to do. If you think of Taurus and Venus, the Venus in Taurus is being creative and artistic, having good taste. Just being creative and an artist in general does take persistence, determination, and ambition. Now, in our world today, how does that gets kind of flipped around to making money? I dealt with, or I had a person who's close to me who was a sun in Taurus. Particularly, I'd say the sun more than the moon, and he was very, very ambitious towards making money. And very persistent and determined. It says here, follows established customs, conservative by nature, resist change and outside influences. Now, a person I just was talking about dealing with recently appeared to not be very conservative. On the outside, she was a sun in Sagittarius, but that moon, it was conjunct the North Node in Taurus, and this was a conservative person, very frustrating to that end. This is my opinion. What me personally, I don't like about the Taurus moon, that they are very conservative. They can be very conservative depending on the rest of the chart, especially when it comes to relationships. And we think of the opposition, Scorpio, not going to be very sexually open until they feel comfortable. And to get these people to feel comfortable, it could be a number of things. I would not expect them to go outside of norms, which is another thing that I dislike about people, me personally. They're resisting change. I don't like that as well, because the definition of change to them, everyone is different. It depends on their perception. And small changes are things that I don't even believe to be really change. They might think that they're change and resist those things. So it says this lunar position gains friends for the native and favors the acquisition of money, houses, or land. Now, my sister, who had moon in Taurus, was very popular. She had moon in the 11th as well. But very popular, very easily to gain friends. For her to gain friends, very creative, as I said, artistic. She was also a Leo, has stellium in Leo, but I do think there's something to the moon in Taurus that's not spoken that much of, and they have that sensuality. They might not actually do art, but they have the mind. They have that creative mind, the sensual mind. Think of moon as the mind. Favors acquisition of money, houses, or land. Why? Because they're conservative. Because these things, the moon is also exalted in Taurus, because the moon wants to be secure and comfortable. Because if not, the moon's not secure and comfortable, life can get out of hand. So these things, houses, land, money, will create this slower type of life that keeps the moon in check. It says here, favors occupations of the nature of the earthy element, dealing in land, houses, heavy goods, old established businesses, where the native may succeed to the father's business and gain or inherit from a parent. My father was supposed to inherit millions of dollars from his uncle, who he took care of. And the lawyer screwed up. The will was written right in front of him, and the lawyer did something underhanded. I'm not going to get into the details, but let's just say he was not awarded or not given his due inheritance because of this attorney. So it says here, may succeed to the father's business or gain inherent from a parent. Sometimes and that's, you could say, I mean, I think where he's getting that from, if he's not getting it from actual clients, is that the moon is consider that again, the family, the home, it rules Cancer, and then Taurus, money and the land, property. It's the opposition of Scorpio, which we could consider that access to be inheritances. That's often where wealth comes from. By the way, if anyone out there thinks they're going to get wealthy, not to be a downer, but that is, if you look at astrology, that's where it seems that's where a majority of wealth comes from. So if you want to be a wealthy person, that's usually how it happens. As opposed to the more Aries sentiment that people work their way up to wealth. I don't know if I would call that wealth. It depends on what number we're talking about here. Sometimes occupation may be one considered lower class, plebeian, or unpopular, involving secrecy or mystery. But it will generally be remunerative, and the native may prosper financially. My father was a chimney sweep. That was his title. I mean, he did other things other than that. He could rebuild chimneys and does masonry and things like that, but think of one considered low class or unpopular. There's one, but at the same time, very lucrative. He taught his cousin. No, he taught his nephew. He taught a few people how to become pretty good chimney businessmen. Particularly though his nephew. His nephew's loaded, but he also works in Chicago, where the business is really good out in a major city like that. So, but as it says here, unpopular, and yet you can prosper big time through the chimney business. Why didn't I take it over? Well, I have Moon in Aquarius, and I'm more of a nervous type, and I never liked getting on roofs. And we didn't really get along, let's just say that. So, passed up on that. It's favorable for occupations of water and liquids, and for living near rivers on the coast, and slightly good for money derived from companies, wholesale trading associations, societies, etc. The native is somewhat sensuous and material, but sociable and of good disposition. That's where I think the difference between the moon and the sun would be. And this is more sensuous and has that materialism, but it's more of like luxury. It's more of the art of it, more sociable. Is slightly favorable for singing, music, painting. There's the artistry, just slightly, for gaining friends and joining societies. So that is the moon in Taurus. Thanks for watching.